Welcome. Today, we are taking a deep scientific dive into sleep health. We're going to move through everything from the fundamental biology of sleep all the way to the modern clinical approaches for managing it. Let's begin.
So let's start with a question that really gets to the heart of a major misconception. When we talk about a good night's sleep, are we really just talking about the number of hours we get? Or is there something more going on? This is the core theme we'll be unpacking today.
And to answer that question, we have a very clear roadmap. First, we'll establish why sleep is just so critical for our health. Then, we'll look at the actual architecture of sleep, learn how to spot potential disorders, explore the diagnostic tools, understand modern treatments, and finally, examine the long-term impact of getting it wrong.
Okay, let's begin by understanding why sleep is rightly considered a fundamental pillar of our health, really looking at its critical biological role.
The science on this is absolutely clear. Sleep is not just downtime. It's an active, essential biological process. It affects literally everything from our cognitive function to how our body regulates its metabolism. And yet, it's so often the first thing we sacrifice.
So what is actually happening in the brain while we sleep? It's not nearly as simple as just flipping it on-off switch. Sleep is actually a complex and a very highly structured process. You see, sleep isn't one single state. It's made up of several distinct stages, and each one has a very specific job. N1 is that drift-off transitional phase. N2 is a lighter sleep, but it's where we spend about half our night. N3 is that deep, slow-wave sleep. That's for physical repair. And then, of course, there's REM sleep, famous for dreaming, but also crucial for memory consolidation and emotional processing. These stages don't just happen randomly. They form a cycle that our brain moves through again and again, about every 90 to 120 minutes. This means a truly healthy night's sleep isn't just about total hours. It's about completing multiple, uninterrupted sleep cycles. Any disruption to this architecture can have a huge impact. And this brings us right back to our opening question. While most of us tend to focus on quantity, how many hours we slept, the clinical view is all about quality. That means we're looking at sleep continuity, getting the right amount of time in each stage, having minimal arousals, and maintaining stable breathing and oxygen levels. You really can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up feeling completely exhausted if the quality is poor. Okay, now that we know what healthy sleep is supposed to look like, how can we tell when something is going wrong? Let's turn to the common red flags that might point to an underlying sleep disorder.
What's really striking about these symptoms is just how common and, relatable they are. So many of us experience daytime sleepiness or wake up feeling unrested. We often just brush these things off as a normal part of a busy life, but from a clinical standpoint, they can be really important clues.
These red flags can be signs of a whole host of different issues, which are generally grouped into 6 major categories. You've got sleep-related breathing disorders, like sleep apnea, insomnia, conditions of excessive sleepiness, and even problems with our internal body clock, which are known as circadian rhythm disorders.
So, if many of these disorders share similar symptoms, how do we get an accurate diagnosis? Well, this is where objective sleep testing comes into play. Just relying on symptoms alone can be misleading, so we really need to look at the data. The gold standard for diagnosing sleep disorders is a test called polysomnography, or PSG for short. This is typically an overnight study that records a whole range of physiological data, giving doctors a very detailed, objective look at what's happening in your body and brain while you sleep. The real power of a PSG is its ability to track so many different things at once. It measures brain activity to see your sleep stages, eye movements to identify REM sleep, muscle tone, airflow to spot breathing issues, and even blood oxygen levels. It just provides this incredible wealth of objective data about your actual sleep quality.
So, with a clear, data-driven diagnosis in hand, we can finally look at treatment. And it's so important to remember that there is no one-size-fits-all solution here. Treatment plans have to be tailored to the individual.
A truly effective treatment plan is always based on 4 key principles. It has to be specific to the actual disorder, appropriate for its severity, centered on the patient's own life and needs, and it has to be regularly monitored and adjusted. Our sleep health can change over time, after all.
And because every case is unique, the treatment options are incredibly diverse. They can range from medical devices like CPAP machines for breathing disorders to specialized therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia or CBTI. The goal is always to find the most effective and sustainable solution for that individual.
So, what are the long-term consequences if we leave these sleep disorders untreated? This is so critical. In our final section, we're going to explore the very serious health risks that are associated with poor sleep.
And this chart really says it all. The data is clear about the serious health risks. Untreated sleep disorders are strongly linked to an increased risk of major chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, stroke, and diabetes. Over time, that poor quality sleep puts a massive strain on the entire body.
The good news is that the path to better sleep health is a clear one. It all starts with recognizing the signs of a potential problem. That's followed by a proper, objective diagnosis. And from there, a personalized treatment plan can be developed and managed for the long term. It's a systematic approach that can help you reclaim a truly vital part of your health.
We'll leave you with this final thought. Investing in your sleep is, without a doubt, an investment in your future. It's about so much more than just feeling rested. It's about your long-term health, your safety, and your overall well-being. So the real question isn't whether you have time for sleep, but whether you can truly afford to neglect it.